back to the Hockey Show, and today we're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes, the team that plays in PNC Arena in North Carolina. And this team has failed another miserable playoff run. This team that just does not know how to score goals and has one of the best rosters, one of the best coaches, one of the best just overall teams to go into the playoffs for like the last 6 years in a row has failed due to the same problems, and now finally Don Waddell has been fired, and with a lot of free agents on their hands and a new general manager who's a pretty cool story to read about, has some decisions to make, and it looks like changes are coming soon with the new and the news and the reports and rumors going on. So to me, this is the perfect time for the Hurricanes to take a lesson from the Maple Leafs and finally make some decisions to make some choices about their team and make changes. So, this team currently, what has been the issues plaguing them, right? Well, for one, let me say a non-issue, the regular season. You know why? Because what wins regular seasons, right? What, makes a team so good through all of, the playoffs, right? I mean, through all the regular season to make it to the playoffs, right? What are some, facts, right? So, some teams are super stingy when it comes to defense, and they can play a smart game, nothing just meat and potatoes hockey through 82 games, just enough wins, or they have a team like the Maple Leafs who just have so many star players that can just get so many points on the board that can just win them so many games and get them into the playoffs, right? To me, here's the Hurricanes, right? The Hurricanes are one of those teams that have some great top-end talent, amazing depth, and not any true superstar players. Everyone's playing hard 82 games of the season, trying to get points on the board. Then you have some guys like Jarvis breaking out. The defense has just got a lot of stacked guys who can put points on the board as well, and some solid goaltenders in that they can just play a 82-game season, always be dominant, because they just have a great overall team and a great coach, right? And they always play so hard, and they're always a punch in the face to the teams they play. That's what gets them to the playoffs. What fails is their issues in the regular season too, is scoring. Goal scoring has been just an issue for this team. Every single goddamn year, this team, they make it into the playoffs, and they lose one-goal games over and over again. Look at the Panthers last year. The Panthers, they lose a sweep. Four games in a row, they lose because they just can't get anything past Bobrovsky after being the such more dominant team. Every one of those games in Florida, every game in Carolina that team played, they were pounding the Florida Panthers. They were owning their asses. But then guess what? They just can't score a goal. And they were so close so many times that they just don't have a guy like Verhaeghe, like Tkachuk, like Barkov, who are just going to go, you know what? I'm just going to score a goal. I'm going to score this goal. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to score on this shift. And they just don't have that guy. Aho, Jarvis, they're not that guy. You're not that kind of guy. Natchez too. They just don't have those goal scorers. And offense isn't an issue. They can put some good lines on the ice that can generate chances and play good in the offensive zone. But they just don't have that guy who gets his puck on the stick right in the offense, right in the slot, and go, this is it. I'm going to jam this through the goaltender like Matthew Tkachuk does, right? They don't have that guy like Martin Natchez to just get the puck and just go, I'm going to just jam this into the goalie, and it's going to go in, right? These are the guys who get the puck, and they're like, okay, shoot. Well, Shesterkin saved it, right? Look at the series against the Rangers. Definitely the better team the Hurricanes were. Almost got swept again, somehow survived, because they are the better team for 2 games. And then they just don't have a guy to put the puck in the back of it. There was 3 overtime games that series? There was 4 games that were 1 goals. 4 games, 1 goal. Overtimes, 1 goal. They just don't have the guy to just say, I'm putting it in. It's not Jarvis, it's not Aho, I don't know who it is, but it's not on their team right now. And goaltending. Goaltending, I don't mean by Anderson and Kochetkov, Ranta. They're fine goalies, right? They're fine goalies that can compete, they can play, they're going to keep you in the game, but they're not robbers, right? They're not anyone who, and Kochetkov might become that soon, but right now he's still not, and Anderson this playoffs was definitely not that impressive. He had a lot of bad goals given up to the New York Rangers, and it's just they aren't robbery stealers, and they need to fix. They need to change in net, and I feel like they just need a change to give a new life to the team. And I just think Anderson, he has a good contract, so you can keep him on the team or trade him away for like a good piece or something like that. Like, you can definitely move him, and that would be a nice addition to the team. But he also isn't the issue, so if they just roll it back with him, it's a risk, so I don't know what they would do with that. But the main issue is goal scoring. So, what is this team's situation? So, going into this offseason, they have 27.3, well, it's like 27.343745, something like that. Set $27.3 million to spend on some players, but they have a lot of free agents. So, Martin Necas is the top one, right? And he is most likely to walk from this team. After leading them last year in points with 71, and then this year being in fourth, he's going to want some big money. Big money, but this does feel like the axing that needs to happen. Necas being that, like, second line guy, or just kind of being, like, my big issue is Necas is a young, amazing player that is definitely not looked at, but especially with his current goings with what happened with him in Czechia, like, he is a good player. He is an amazing player. And feels like he needs a new environment too. He feels like a guy that can really, like, propel another team like the Bruins, and who really need a guy like him to be the number one player. And on this team, he's just not going to be. With Aho on the team, he just is not going to take that number one spot. He needs an opening somewhere, and a team like Boston feels like his home. And to me, Necas feel like it's a good decision because they need goal scoring. And spending that like $6 to $8 million, maybe even more than that, on a guy like him just doesn't feel like it's gonna work. And to me, it is like the right decision. Like, they need a fix, and he isn't the fix. Now, who they are going to keep is Seth Jarvis. They have to. The team, the management seems to love him. The coaches seem to love him. Carolina seems to love him. I love him. Seth Jarvis is going to be kept around, but for him, he's going to be a big money contract. But they can afford a couple of those. $7 to $8 million seems right to me, especially with how he's compared to, like, guys his age, like Cole Caulfield. Like, he feels like or maybe if he signs like a short-term contract to give some more money to the team, maybe he signs like $5 million for 2 years or something like that, if he's like a super friendly guy, which he seems like, so maybe that's a potentiality. But $7 to $8 million seems right for the kind of player he is, the type of points he makes, and he doesn't feel like he is like a Cole Caulfield kind of player that deserves such big money. So to me, Seth Jarvis, 7 to 8 feels right. Then they have some, like, Jack Drury. Who cares? If they keep him on the team, it's like $1 million, $2 million. So not a big deal about him. Some other free agents, though. Pesce, get him off the board. He's going to be set away from this team. It's going to happen. He's been the trade rumors for so long, and he's a switch. And I don't really agree with it, but at the same time, he seemed invisible this playoff, so to me, Pesce can be moved on from. Brady Shea is the one defenseman out of them that I think they should keep. I think he is a super good player. He plays good in both ends. He puts points on the boards. He's one of those defensemen that I think they need to keep on this team. But he shouldn't cost too much. He feels like someone that would be like 5 to 6, and that they can definitely afford that. D'Angelo, unless he takes a really tiny contract, he's going to move on. Teravainen feels like a guy who needs to be on this team, but he cannot take that big of a deal. 3 to 4 million, maybe. That feels about right. And then with, like, Jake Gensel, though. Jake Gensel they seem to love him, and I think he's going to be kept on this team, especially a team that needs some playoff warriors. Gensel is that guy, and he played good in this playoffs, too. So to me, it's like Gensel, having this as his home feels right. And him, another 7 to 8 millions for him, I think sounds about right. Then Nason and Martinook, they keep them on the team 1 to 2 or so, maybe. To me, that's, like, fine. So if they keep Jarvis and Shea and Teravainen, like, Jarvis, let's say he gets 8, or, like, yeah, let's say it's 8, and then Shea is, like, 6, like, they're going to have some money left over, right? They're going to have a handful of money that they can sign about one good player, one amazing player, because the depth is still fine. It's intact. They can bring on guys from the AHL, and I'm sure they can find some lower contract guys to put on this team. They just need to fill like a couple of bottom roster spots if they have some people go, but they need to have some money to sign some big names. So first of all, first up the net is the big rumor. Linus Ullmark, $5 million for 1 year. They seem to be in big talks with the Bruins to get him, and with Ullmark going to be leaving the Bruins, like that, if that is a good move. But to me, Ullmark, he is not a robber. Like, he's not going to steal that many games, but he could with Carolina. I feel like that's a good fit. To me, Ullmark feels like especially because he loves his pads and making some good, cool designs on them. I think him and Carolina feels right. That feels like I can see Ullmark on there. I can see him having some sick pads. Like, he would be awesome there. And I think it just makes sense, because they don't need a guy to truly be the best goalie in the world, but the Vezina winner, and especially off of a year where, like, Swayman overcame him, and I don't know. I feel like him in Carolina feels right, especially for that 1 year where it's one last year on that contract, and this is a big contract year for him because I think he's 28 years old. Like, this is his last big deal, so he needs to play like hell, and in Carolina, he feels like that would be a good fit. And $5 million would not be that bad, especially if they move another contract off this team. But the big point that they need to do is make a move for a big goal scorer. And to me, I think they go for a short goal scorer. And I'm saying that as I'm the same height as him. But Jonathan Marchessault, to me, is a match made in heaven. Marchessault's name in those black jerseys, or especially those red ones, feels like that would be a huge fit. Jonathan Marchessault at $7 million after coming off a 41-goal season on a team like the Golden Knights, who just don't really have that many like outstanding goal scorers. Like, to me, he's going to be moved off the Golden Knights, I hope. I feel like Marchessault deserves somewhere else to go and be a star on that team and put a bunch of goals on the board. And to me, Marchessault in the black and red in North Carolina feels right. A team that needs a guy who will go into the corners, who will fight in front of the net, who will have an amazing shot, who finishes his chances in the playoffs. The Conn Smythe current winner right now, like, Jonathan Marchessault on the Hurricanes feels right. His name on that jersey, he feels like he's the perfect guy to fit in that role, to play alongside, Sebastian Aho and just really own this team. And I feel like that would be a perfect fit for the two. If not him, Steven Stamkos, maybe. I don't know. It really depends on where he goes, and then if the Lightning let him go, would he go to Carolina? I don't know. That one's a bit of a question mark. But talking about a guy who can still put big goals on the board, 40 goals, 81 points this year, Stamkos was killer. He was electric in the playoffs. If they can get him on this team, unreal. Unreal. Gostisbehere, I just kind of really liked him on the Hurricanes last year. I think if they bring him back for a tiny deal or something like that, I don't know. I feel like he would be a good fit, but that's whatever. Sam Reinhart, though, they need a goal scorer, and Sam Reinhart was huge this year, especially on the power play, and they really need a kind of guy to, like, uplift that offense, but he's going to want, like, $10 million or so. Maybe even 11, right? Bare minimum 9.5. And to me, I don't know if the Hurricanes really want to sink that kind of money into a guy who isn't truly proven, because he only had this one amazing season. So I don't know if they go with him. I wouldn't, if I was the GM. If this was GM mode, I probably wouldn't make that decision to go after him. So I would leave him there. I think Marchessault would be a better pick. But then some trades, right? Brady Tkachuk, he's been on the rumor mill of maybe being moved out of Ottawa, especially since what he said in an interview where he said that he doesn't want to go home to Ottawa, and he definitely wants to start winning. And it seemed like Carolina, they definitely want to start winning, and a Tkachuk on a motivated Tkachuk on a brand new team that can win. Oh my God, like, look at what Matthew did. Look at what Brady could do. I want to see that happen. And it feels right, too. Going from Kachuk's name on that, like, red and black of the Senators would look perfect in the red and black of the Hurricanes. He kind of has that, like, fun energy, that fun-loving, but also tough and gritty. He fits the Hurricanes. So to me, Brady Tkachuk, if he could go to this team, would be huge. And then I put Trevor Zegras. mainly because the Hurricanes need a guy with a smaller contract, which Zegras has, and they need a guy that is all offense, right? Who is just going to do whatever it takes to score a goal. Not whatever it takes, because Zegras isn't really like that true like warrior, but he is an all-out offenseman. He is no defense at all, right? We know that. He is a liability there. But when it comes to like the power play or needing a guy who's just going to do something crazy in the playoffs, could you imagine having Svechnikov and Zegras on the same team? Both of them doing the Michigan. Just put them on the same line and both of them just skate around the back of the net. It'll be terrifying other teams, right? And to me, it's like they need a guy who can just like maybe elevate that kind of game. And to me, Zegras could be that guy. But that's just a completely just idea. But I guess this, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is the Hurricanes have some good options. And they have a couple of good guys that they can really bring on this team. And they have a good basis already, right? They still have Slavin and Brent Burns in the back end. Like, they have some good defensemen back there. Keeping Brady Shea. They have Chatfield, who I'm a big fan of Chatfield. I think he's a hard-playing player. They have some great pieces that can already keep playing. The defense and offense are still loaded. They have the depth of the offense still. The top-end guys are still there. Like, they have a lot of guys who can still play on this team. Kuznetsov is still on the team. They have some good pieces still, but they just need that gem. They're like a crown. They're like a crown, and they're just missing that, like, one gem to, like, put in place and make them complete and win the Stanley Cup. But I guess that's all I gotta say. So thank you for watching this. Made it as far. Please, I'm begging you, please subscribe. Please. Anyways, thank you. Too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.